The fourth text structure is chronological order, also known as time order. This is probably the one I think you would be the most familiar with. Some of the questions we look at when we identify the text structure would be: when did events happen? Or what are the steps or events in the order that they happened? So some of the signal words that we look for: to begin, first of all, next, after 2 weeks, 3 hours later, in 20 minutes, soon. The really big thing that we're looking for is the when. Questions that answer when. A lot of our prepositional phrases answer when things happen. And so it's really almost impossible to put a list here of all the possible signal words that you might find, but there are many. So for chronological order, also known as sequencing or time order, some of the graphic organizers we might use. And this one really goes with fictional text, but I wanted to put this here because it really does show a sequential order of events within a story. So even though we're talking about informational text, there can be a little bit of overlap as we look at them. We really are going to focus more on informational text as we look at our text structures, though. So one that you used a lot in social studies would be a timeline, where you look at a beginning or a middle or an ending event and how events within the time period that you're studying go together. The important thing to remember about timelines is that the distance of time between each of these points on your timeline has to be consistent, because it's supposed to show maybe that a lot of events happened within one time, or maybe that there was a big gap in time between events. So you don't just list your events on these marks. Actually, very few events are probably going to put at every single one of these marks. You're going to be looking at the space in between. If you're not working with events, you might be looking at steps. So a good way is just to put them into like a little flow chart like this with some arrows, maybe numbering your boxes and showing the arrow that connects the ideas together. So now you're going to get your other foldable out. You're going to get your highlighter and highlight any signal words that answer that question, when, and then fill in the graphic organizer to identify the important information. Making cookies isn't hard, especially if you use pre-made cookie dough. Begin by preheating the oven to the temperature indicated on the packet. Next, use oil to grease a cookie sheet. Then break apart the cookie dough and place the pieces about an inch away from each other. When the oven is heated, put the cookie sheet into the oven. Follow the directions on the package for cooking time. Remove the cookie sheet from the oven and then transfer the cookies from the sheet to a rack to cool. So I see lots of different signal words here. I see begin. That tells me my first step. Next. Then. Here's a dependent clause, when the oven is heated. But it also definitely answers the question when. It puts this event in sequence with other events before it. And I see then. And there are some other steps in here that don't have signal words with them, but within the context of the paragraph and where they're placed, you should be able to pull the important information out. Now when you do your graphic organizer, remember you don't have to write every single word down in the paragraph. You're looking for the important bits of information that tell the sequence of events.